You will come through doorways that you didn't even know were there. See something unbelievable. But you have to believe it because it's right there in front of your eyes.
For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. While all are equal in the eyes of God, we would sooner forget the dead than not part them from us. Haley is left alone to host a wake for the departed Andrew Edwards, a wake which, beginning to end, is anything but normal. The family of the departed requested the wake will be recorded for a zoological videograph, a caringly crafted memory of their last farewell in honor of their beloved.
I assume they're paying extra for this.
That also, yes.
Okay, you cow, you take that self-righteous attitude and just go right and fuck yourself.
That's Haley, played by Kial Legend. Not sure what her issue is, but she is asked to babysit a corpse for a whole night. To be honest, I'd be on edge too. Especially considering Tim makes a point that the body is minced meat.
The deceased was in a severe accident.
I was more or less able to get him back into his original shape. I'd say it's pretty good work. But don't take my word for it. Why don't you have a look for yourself?
There are better ways to charge someone with hosting a wake. On the other hand, I'm not entirely sure what Haley is even doing there. I mean, some funeral homes have maybe 1 wake a week. Others have 10 per day. You need to be a special type of person to work in that kind of industry. And if you don't like your coworkers because they don't break down at every single loss of life that they come across, and yet have the decency to pretend for the sake of the bereaved, then you have no business being there.
Nevertheless, Ron and Tim leaves Haley alone to take care of the wake, waiting for the guests to arrive. A wait which drags into the small hours of the night. 40 minutes pass with not a hint of interest from the outside world. No close family, no friends and no acquaintances. The only witness in attendance are the cameras and the equally apathetic Haley, who little by little loses patience.
I feel dumb recording myself just sitting here. I'm standing.
Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, it's not about you! It's about the people left behind wanting to memorialize their loved one at a wake they couldn't be bothered to show up to.
Maybe they got caught in the storm, or maybe nobody liked the guy.
The tedium lets her mind wander, questioning why she's here, why she's recording, why there's even a wake if no one could be bothered to show their respect. Why does no one care? Who was Andrew Edwards? An hour and a half later, Haley's curiosity breaks and she calls a friend. Her mother would save old newspapers, and she asks if there's anything interesting about Andrew Edwards' obituary, if she can find it. The answering machine is the best she can do, unfortunately, frustrating her further. It's not like she can ask the man himself.
Oh god, the corpse sharded!
Haley puts the sound at the back of her mind, or tries to. Much like the storm growing outside the windows, rain whipping against the glass, thunder rumbling in the distance, all at the back of her mind, until the lights begin to flicker and die.
Was that Donald Pleasance? Wait. Run, bitch!
Deathly eyes, hollow eyes, eyes blending into the dark, and shadows find Haley fumbling through the black. They vanish with the light as Haley liberates one of the cameras for its built-in flashlight and make her way to the storage on the hunt for candles. A journey ultimately pointless because the power returns all the same, and with it a harrowing change. Before Ron and Tim left, they discovered the coffin askew. They'd put it back with no small amount of effort. In the light, it's moved again.
fucking telling you, he's alive in there.
Yes, very spooky. Couple of things. First of all, I haven't been to a lot of wakes, but all the ones I've been to were set during the day, and they still had burning candles in every single corner of the space. Maybe that's not a thing in America, I can look past that, but I do know caskets aren't nailed shut. They can be opened. Even if the person is horribly, gruesomely mangled, and they can't be properly prepared for an open casket, the bereaved still have the option to open it if they so want to, if it will help them say goodbye. If you think this guy is alive, open it!
Which she doesn't, fucking rabbit. No, rather than risk being wrong, rather than risk her co-workers thinking less of her, rather than risk seeing something scary, Hayley accepts Tim's explanation of gases escaping, lying to herself and Tim. He even offers to stay with her on the line for her to take a look at the body, and still, rather than risk embarrassing herself and make them question her competence for the job, she represses everything she fought up until this moment, takes a deep breath, and let the body lie. In a strange way, this denial seems to work. Another knock frightens her, but this time it's from the door. Almost unbelievably, a guest finally arrived. An older man, disheveled but appropriately dressed for the storm in a trench coat. He has indeed come to say goodbye to Andrew. He apologizes for being late, but much like everyone else, he got caught up in the storm. Really, he understands if no one else shows up. But he needs to say his piece.
Raga. Servus. Servus Angeli.
And no, I've no idea what he's saying. I do know it's not some esoteric language, it's Hungarian. I just don't know what he's saying. It could be anything from a lullaby to an invocation of Satan. I do know that is the guy that we saw looming at the back earlier. Apparently his name is Gustav, and he's played by Daniel Matmur. Beyond that, I don't know. I do know it's a good thing he showed up when he did, otherwise Hayley might have left.
It's nearing 3 o'clock at night, and Hayley is much calmer now than she was. There was a lot going on tonight. The storm, the noises, the flickering lights, the empty wake. It really had her imagination spinning. Now it doesn't shock her when the phone rings. It's her friend, the one she asked to look into the obituaries, and Hayley explains it was just nerves acting up. Someone finally did arrive, and it was the dose of reality she needed. When she says this, her friend asks her what they were like. She didn't need to go through the obituaries. Andrew Edwards was front page material. The last people to see him said he was struck by some sort of mania, shouting gibberish from the top of a church tower before he hurled himself down onto the pavement. Boom! The line cuts out with the power. Knock. Hayley shoots up, staring at the coffin. Behind her runs the trickle of chains. Knock. Knock. Knock!
I complained about the lack of candles because it sets up a horror movie. Now I love the lack of candles because it sets up a horror movie.
Shoving open the doors, Hayley finds herself shoved back in turn. Chains stretch across the door handles, trapping her inside. She has to turn back. For flight, for concern, like he was alive after all. She should be, he woke up. She really needs to see him. Call the hospital, call the police, call the news, anyone, but first she has to know what she's dealing with. The spotlight illuminates the hall. The coffin lies discarded like a sardine can. Dried blood stains its insides. The body is gone. Horrified, Hayley finds him, turned away, alive, very, very badly damaged.
Been a long while since a zombie did that to me. Do it again!
His face is destroyed, the empty skull all but caved in, sliced in twain and opened like a poorly cut apple. Half his face is gone, tongue lolling out where his left jaw and cheek should be. and the decrepit muscles work blindly to chew the open air. Haley screams, certain she will die, but it never comes. As he rushed her, she fell over, and now he stands away, violently twisting his body and head, nameless noises erupting from his destroyed lungs as he searches for her.
You can't see me.
Yeah, we got that. No need to put a feather in your cap. Just get out of there.
All the same, he can hear her, and when she sees the disconnected hand crawl across her way, she screams, and yet again he charges. It's nothing but dumb luck that saved her. Carefully, quietly, she makes her way through the dock, and then stumbles across the remote control for the cameras. She barely holds back another scream when she notices the second half of Mr. Edwards' face lying next to it. Ron had warned her not to push the wrong button, or the camera would eject the tape. This warning may now prove her salvation.
I couldn't resist.
The tape ejects and the body charges at the noise, away from Haley. 4 cameras all around the room. She can lead him away from her. She could grab a chair and smash a window. She might get out of this alive. And then she notices it. The second half of Mr. Edwards' face. The eye is moving, shifting across the room until it stops, staring right at her.
Hollywood? Can we please bring back these types of zombies? Fungi and viruses are just so overplayed.
The glass breaks with the storm. Andrew charges at Haley. The camera cuts out. On again, the camera watches the devastation. Mr. Edwards lie on the floor, unmoving, seemingly dead. From the side, Haley wobbles in on unsteady feet. She looks at her hands. She touches her body, as if unused to it. And scored by the tornado sirens, she climbs into the dark and vanishes.
Awesome!
Our old friend Simon Barrett returns as writer and director to this masterclass in the art of horror. From beginning to end, every scene feels unpleasant and ugly. It's so incredibly spooky with the grainy low contrast of the camera, the subdued colors of the funeral home, and the sheer eerie emptiness. And the way it builds its tension should be studied at large. No words are necessary to explain why Haley was feeling uncomfortable in this place, even before the body started moving. I complained about why she even works here, but when Tim and Ron both threatened her job if she couldn't handle hosting the wake herself, I got the feeling she needed this job badly. So she's trapped, forced to whisper happy thoughts to herself, and I felt for her. I wanted her to escape and be alright, but also wasn't terribly upset when she didn't. It was right in that sweet spot between apathy and empathy where thrills and chills live. There are a number of times I felt like she did things to herself that couldn't be explained by her needing the job though, like when she discovered the doors were chained. I'm pretty sure she could squeeze through the gap if she tried. The doors might have been bulletproof, but I'm pretty sure the stained glass windows would have been very easily broken. She could have thrown a chair out there, but the overall impression is she reacted fast and believably in this situation. Further on, this has to be the best zombie designs I have ever seen. Not only did we have some proper Resident Evil 1 levels of build up to its reveal, but the combination of practical and special effects, the camera, lighting, and Devin Shinjong's fantastic performance, it all did something I did not think was possible. It made zombies scary. When the guts fell out of the guy's stomach, watching the corpse literally fall apart and yet not give pause or even notice, I screamed with glee watching this the first time. Please, if nothing else, let special effects artists study this movie to see how it's done. In conclusion, The Empty Wake is among the better segments of VHS. It's creepy, original, incredibly well crafted, with actors who know what they're doing, and even if it won't have you check under your bed, it's too thrilling not to leave you with a smile on your face.